Welcome, gorgeous millennials, matriarchs, and all of those who support. Welcome to another episode of the Millennial Matriarch. This is your host, Ashley, and I have my beautiful, kind, talented, sweet co host, Alexis, here with me.
Hello. We're recording on a Sunday.
On a Sunday, it's the daylight. We have a very special episode for you today, which is why we are recording during the day on a Sunday. But before we get into the episode, I want to talk about something that's really heavy on our hearts, Alexis. And that is what is going on in our country right now. When you're listening to this, you'll be about a week out. But yesterday in Minneapolis, another innocent human being was murdered by ICE agents. His name was Alex Preddy. He was a millennial just like us. He was a VA ICU nurse, and he was stepping in to help someone who was in trouble and was being attacked. And as a result, he was stripped of his gun that he had a license to carry and was not using. He was basically beaten in the street, and then he was shot 12 times. I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about him, about Renee Good, who was murdered, last week?
2 weeks ago.
I can't stop thinking about what's going on in our country, and I couldn't dive into another episode without bringing it up. I'm a problem solver, right? I wanna know what to do. I wanna know what action I can take. I wanna know how I can help. I wanna know how to make a difference, and I am totally, paralyzed, and I don't know what to do, but I just couldn't go forward like usual and not acknowledge how disgusting it is what's happening in our country right now. And it's not just Alex, it's not just Renee. Tons of other people that are being killed, that are being kidnapped, that are being taken away from their families, that are missing. Their families don't know where they are. It's families that are basically shut-ins in their home because they're afraid to step outside for fear that someone is coming to get them. And Alexis, I wanna give you the floor, but that's how I feel, and I'm just really scared for people.
So before we started recording today, Ashley and I talked about this. And we made the decision to talk about it. One, because I truly don't know how you don't talk about it. If you follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, if you follow me anywhere, you know that I have not stopped posting about the problems in this country. It is no secret. I am very anti this current administration because our current administration is not operating under the guise that people are people. We are treating people like not even animals, because quite frankly, animals deserve better treatment than this administration is treating people. For us to sit here today and record and not bring it up at all, and to be the happy-go-lucky gals that you all listen to, it neither one of us can act like what happened didn't happen. I know personally I feel very hopeless and helpless, but I am gonna say this because I come from a family who I actually put up a post today. It is not in my DNA to stay silent. It is not in my DNA to not speak up for those who can't. So because I have a platform, and I'm a loudmouth, I am going to speak up. And I think for all of the folks out here who don't know what to do, who feel hopeless, what I would say to them is, and it's things that I'm saying to myself: one, call your senators. You need to call your senators and complain. If you don't know what to say, Sophia Bush actually just put up on Instagram a post, a literal script that you can use to call your senators. I actually took a version of that and I picked up my phone and I live in Massachusetts, so I called our senators and I left a voicemail basically saying that, like, I am not okay with what's happening in this administration, and and I'm not okay with what's happening on our home turf. Right now, the only thing that we have to fight with is our vote, our dollars, and our voices. So I want to remind everybody to use those things. I don't care if you have one follower, I don't care if you have 45,000. You need to use your voice. Two, I've been very open about this. I struggle with my mental health. So I know that in times like this, when we feel hopeless, it's important to still be able to find your joy. I know for me, I have spent all day cooking because I know that to keep my hands going helps quiet the noise in my brain. And I will say this, in order to fight the fight, you have to take care of yourself. So, Ashley and I didn't want to not address it. We do have an amazing guest today, and the topic is so apropos. And I'm going to turn it over to Ashley to introduce her. But just honestly, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and just remember at the end of the day, we're all fucking human beings and we have lost the plot. And I just hope as a society we can get back there.
Thank you, Alexis. I think I needed to hear that too, so thank you, and that just makes me feel better knowing that there's something I can do to close the thought out. There's talk of Texas where I live, ICE sort of gonna be infiltrating the state soon. I think that that is incredibly, scary just because of the border situation, and the misinformation that's happening around immigrants that live and have every right to be here in our country. So I guess if you're listening and you're one of those people who's afraid to come out and you're in the Austin area and you need someone to bring you groceries or, I don't know, bring you things that you need because you're not willing to come out of your home, please DM me. Um, I will do what I can. That's the only thing I can think of right now. On that note, yes, we have a very apropos topic today. Today, we're going to be talking about therapy, which we could all use a little bit of or a lot of bit of right now. It's no surprise that therapy is a huge part of Alexis and my life. We talk about it all the time. It's come through in our everyday conversations, just her and I. It's in our internal dialogue, right, Alexis? Like, and then of course, like we talk about it here on the podcast. So, in anticipation of today's episode, I was thinking about therapy like as it pertains to generational differences. So, Gen X, those are pretty much like our parents. I think that's a generation where therapy, not so big, not part of the everyday zeitgeist, not really something that was on their radar when they were our age, maybe a little bit more now. Millennials, that was and is a real acceptance of mental health as an equal form of health, not just physical, and a true utilization of therapy. Like that's us millennials, at least from my perspective. Then we've got Gen Z. Gen Z, I feel like is like a true indoctrination into therapy, so much so that many are making psychology part of their career. And that brings me to today's special guest here to tell us all about her career path in expressive art therapy and what led her here. A friend of the pod, but I just know her as my little sister. Welcome, Rhys. Round of
Reese,
applause.
I'm happy to
we,
be here.
We're
we are
so happy to have
so happy to
you.
have you.
I do want to give the people a little background on you. Rhys has a master's in clinical mental health counseling with a focus on expressive arts therapy. She currently practices as a residential clinician and expressive art therapist in Cambridge, Massachusetts, not far from where Lexi lives. Outside of work, Rhys can be found binge watching Adam Sandler movies, catching up on The Real Housewives, slay, swiping right, but mostly left on the apps, and running her side hustle, the Curated Curves Collective, which is a sustainable and size inclusive secondhand clothing, jewelry, and art shop. So that's a little bit about my baby girl.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
We're so excited to have you. We totally want to talk about like your career and what got you there. We have so many questions for you, but as tradition and as our second guest, we have to ask you, what does your castle look like?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this. I knew almost immediately when I was asked the question. I might have to give some context. So Ashley obviously knows for her wedding, we stayed at this beautiful ranch in Texas. All of us did. I called it our Mojo Dojo Texas Kardashian dream house. And it truly was. So I feel like my castle would be this like beautiful modern ranch-esque vibe with a pool, but I'd probably wanna move it not and move it to, like, a beach. I'd wanna be on a beach.
Yes. No worries.
I wanna walk out in the backyard, be a beach, but also have a pool, also have all the amenities that this house had. It had jacuzzi, it had, the outdoor kitchen. I don't know if it had an outdoor projector, but that would need to be added.
Pickleball court.
The pickleball court, it had animals. I want animals.
Wait, there was animals?
There were Texas Longhorns, like, you could touch them.
Rhys, do you cook? Because you said outdoor kitchen, and I know Ashley is chefs it up in her kitchen. So do you also? Is this like a sisterly thing? You all can cook?
Because I have to and I live alone. I don't love
You're like, I have
it.
to feed myself.
But, like, when I cook, it's delicious. I just don't like to do it, really. But if there's a good fun recipe, I'm down to try it. Um, but yeah, I would say that's my house, but then that was more like ranch Texan, like, energy. It was modern, but I would want it to be, like, modern, more boho glam, pops of
Ooh.
color. The kitchen itself was like a navy blue, it was really cool. Open floor plan, also had tons of bedrooms because I want, like, friends and family to be able to, like, come and hang out at my house. I want to have games. This place had tons of games, at a pool table, things to do. I want that. I want it to be like a retreat for me and my friends and family to, like, come to and enjoy. And I'm sorry, but a chef needs to be included because, again, I'm not
Yes.
cooking.
And you need somebody to use that outdoor kitchen.
I want to be able to watch my chef cook in my outdoor kitchen.
Exactly. That's my castle, and on the beach needs to be, like, a thing. I need to be able to walk out into the ocean, like, every morning, and it needs to be hot every day.
You live in the wrong state, but I do too. Your castle, I love it. It doesn't have to be realistic. My castle has a moat, a vineyard, and robotic butlers. So
Yeah. It's like Game of Thrones meets, like, iRobot.
Speaking of good things, I feel like I should mention this. I just watched, like, 3 different neighbors from, like, different homes come out and play football outside. And I just think
welcome
that's
to New England.
given, like, the circumstances of the world and, like, I feel like we should all have our communities and our supports, but, like, I just think that, like, they saw each other playing outside and they slowly but surely all just started joining, and they're just outside playing football right now. Just so I'm sure that there's still, like, community and people coming together in ways.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I'm glad you shared that. Reese, I think where we wanna start is, for those who don't know, explain, like, what is expressive art therapy? When and I talk about therapy, I think we're mostly talking about just traditional talk therapy. What is that for the people who don't know?
Yeah. So, expressive art therapy is kind of like an umbrella term. It encompasses, like, so many different modalities. Play therapy is one, drama therapy, bibliotherapy, which is like writing and, like, short stories, poems, all those sorts of things. Visual arts, so painting, drawing, everything like that. There's also movement, so, like, yoga, dance, even just breathing is movement, so mindfulness kind of falls into that category as well, and then music, so, yeah. I don't think I said that yet, but yeah, music, so listening to music, analyzing lyrics, making up our own songs, creating music, all of that stuff. I don't do all of that. I think something that they really made apparent was, like, pick a few that are, like, your go-tos because, like, drama isn't really my thing, although my mom literally when we were trying to figure out what the fun facts for this was gonna be, my mom was like, "I think that you could have been an actress in a past life. You're, like, even you're such a theater kid even though you were never in theater." And I could see that for sure. But, like, what's so funny is, like, drama, I was like, "Hell no. Stay far away
So
from me."
what do you focus on under that umbrella?
A lot of bibliotherapy, so walking people
Yeah.
through prompts to create poems or short stories, or maybe we're reading something and then kind of having a discussion about it or how it relates to them in some way. I do a lot of visual arts, so that's painting, drawing, and all that fun stuff. Collaging, a lot of collaging. And then I incorporate music, like not we don't make music or sing. I mean, if a client wanted to sing, they could totally do that, and that would be their jam. But I mostly am like, let's make a playlist for when we're feeling sad or when we're feeling this way, or let's analyze lyrics and what song is speaking to you right now and why. Or maybe we'll just play music while we're doing the art. That's a thing too. And then some little spurts of like movement in the sense of like, let's stretch, let's do some yoga, and let's breathe.
What are the benefits of this? I mean, obviously expression is like seems to be a foundation for therapy, and so that makes sense. But what would someone get out of that versus just sitting with you and sort of talking to you about what's going on with them? And is there a particular group of people who all of this benefits the most? I realize that's probably a broad question, but like what
Or
are
a
your thoughts?
type of person that just kind of maybe like naturally gravitates toward it, because
Yeah.
it's funny when you kind of described some of the modalities that you do. I'm in a traditional talk therapy. I've been in talk therapy for a big chunk of my life, but when I'm upset, and I didn't even realize I did this until like kind of recently, I write poems. And it's just like how my brain processes. So, yeah, like when you said that, I was like, "Oh, wait, am I doing this on my own and I didn't even know it?"
Yeah, well, that's the cool part, and what I always tell clients, I'm like, "You're probably already doing something that I consider therapy." I think therapy can look like so much. It can look like cooking. I mean, if that's your therapy, that's your therapy. Um, but I would say to answer Ashley's question, yeah, it's to help maybe cope with something. I wanna provide you with tools that you don't just need with me in our office, but, like, if you enjoy collaging and that has become your safe space, you can do that anywhere. You don't need to do that with me, so one is it helps with coping. It obviously helps heal anything that we're trying to work on. I think because it causes you art literally causes us to have to think with a different part of our brain, or not think. I'm reading The Power of Now, and they talk about how like the creative mind, we don't really think as much. It's more just a doing and allowing ourselves to be where we are right now. So also like helping to understand like a better perspective on whatever their experience is. That can obviously vary from client to client. Obviously, expression. I will say that, like, certain clients, for example, if they're on the spectrum, then they might have more of a challenge using their words to express what's going on or how they're feeling. So, having a space to do that feels better. Not to mention, it almost creates a barrier of protection for them. Like, yes, it's them creating that poem or it's them analyzing the music or creating the music or drawing, but, like, there's a separation that allows someone to be a bit more, like, vulnerable and more open, and sometimes I don't even realize it's happening until it's happening. And I think art just really, like, allows us to get into those, like, really sticky places that we don't always wanna be in a way that feels digestible for a person, and obviously regulate. So it helps regulate people, especially if they're like in a high state of anxiety. We might like do like scribble art and like just allow ourselves to scribble all over a paper to like bring ourselves calm. And we're probably focusing on our breathing and how the crayon feels on the paper and
Yeah.
what are the smells? What the smell of the crayon? What's the color of the crayon? Really like get us present.
That's super helpful for let's take the scribbling example. Are you sort of, like when like a guided meditation, are you sort of guiding them through, or are you sort of giving them a prompt and then letting them be
It really depends on what we're working on and what the prompt is. I think, like, a client that has, like, control issues or maybe it's, like, type A planner, "Hey,
present?
girl." Like, I might be like, "Oh, so there's, like, an inner critic coming up right now. There's a lot of inner stuff. Let's try to,
Mhm.
like, acknowledge it, but then let it pass. We're not gonna focus." And a lot of those types of clients will, like, ask me questions. Well, like, "Shouldn't I be do" I'm like, whatever you want, and they hate that. So it depends. Sometimes I'm more structured and I guide, and other times I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna give you a prompt, but I'm not gonna say much else, so I'm gonna allow you to, like, roll with it," and that's also part of the process is recognizing, like, the inner voice that's coming up inside of us, the perfectionist. Because a lot of times people come at me with, like, "But I'm not good at drawing." That's not what it's about. I don't care. It's not
Yeah.
about being good at trying, and if you hate it, you never have to do it again, and that's what I tell my clients, we never have to do it again. But, like, allow yourself to, like, just be and to just
Yeah.
feel where you are and be okay with, like, being a terrible drawer if that's what you feel. Like, it's all good. We're not asking you to be Picasso. It's fine.
So, Reese, you probably don't know this, but during COVID, I was in an outpatient program.
Uh-huh.
And, when you're in an outpatient program, they kind of take you through a bunch of different, therapy modalities. And I remember getting to the art therapy day. And literally same exact thing. I was like, I can't draw. And they were like, one, nobody's going to see it, just you. And two, it's not about the drawing. And I remember um, they wanted us to draw a time in our life or a memory that like that made us happy and that we so vividly hung on to. And it's so funny because so I was born in Maryland and that's where my dad's from. That's where my grandparents lived. And I'm a big, like, I learned, I think at the age of 3, how to crack open a Maryland crab. Like, I give me a crab and a pair of crab claws, and like, I have no problem. And one of my favorite memories, and it's something I think about to this day if I'm feeling really anxious, is I can physically put myself back sitting at their we had a red, like, picnic table, and my grandfather would, like, lay newspapers out, and he would, like, throw a bag of crabs down, and I because that was something I did so many times in my childhood, and it's something that, like, it's a core memory. When I'm stressed or anxious, I can actually put myself back there. Like,
Yes.
I have such a strong tie to that. So when they had me draw, that's the first thing that came to mind was like that red picnic bench with the newspaper. And I was like, prior to that, I was like, when's the last time I actually thought
Yeah.
about that? But it clearly, like, talk about a core memory. Like
Mhm.
I can see like the ridges in the picnic bench. I can see like
Yeah.
I can tie back to like all of my senses, like sight, smell, sound, taste, like all of it.
Right, which is so important, especially if, like, you're someone who struggles with anxiety, being able to, like, have an anchor or, like, a safe space that you can bring yourself to. It's so cliche, like, think of your happy place, but it
Yeah.
really does help and it does wonders, and it really that highlights something that I always tell everyone that I learned, which is it's about the process, it's not about the final product. There actually might not ever be a final product.
Right. You're
It's
not
just
Van Gogh.
right. We're we're just doing it, and, like, we might spend, like, ample sessions working on one thing, and let's be real, I'm a talker, so, like, we end up talking, and half the time we're talking about reality TV too, like, all the things. So this piece of art is not the center focus, that's not what it's about, it's not about it being finished, it's just it's a tool to help us get to places we need to get to.
Do you feel like people are coming to you because they want to, use some of these other modalities or get into it? Because you talked earlier about, like, there have been instances where someone's a little more resistant. "Oh, I don't know how to draw," or so that's clearly not why they came to you, but for whatever reason, you thought, "Hmm, let's try this." So are they coming to you for that difference, or is it is it kind of unexpected when you bring it up? Is it something you talk about at the beginning when you're first meeting them? Like, how does someone get into this type of therapy?
Yeah, I would say right now where I'm working, it's not something that like people automatically know. It's not like the company advertises expensive art
Okay.
therapists. They just happen to employ people that also have this specialty under their belt. But like when I go into my bio, if they go into my bio, it says it right there. Some clients are coming because they genuinely are interested and are like, "Oh, I've tried everything else. Nothing seems to work. Maybe this will do it for me." But there's also been times where I brought it up and clients are like, "What the fuck?" Or like, "Oh, didn't know you did that." That's fine. And I also want to be real. I have clients that we have not done a single lick of art of any sort of anything, and we just talk the entire time. But I do let them know, I wasn't trained in talk therapy. I can do it, but I want you to know I got tools that we could utilize that could
You're
be
like, let me
really
open my crayons.
yes, but like I everyone's on their own path and I let them do their thing. And there has been times where I've converted people and then they like really love it and they like look forward to the activity. And it's also kind of nice because I think there might be times where you roll up to session and I know I've been there where I'm like, everything's fine. Like, what am I gonna talk about? And the beauty of expressive art therapy is like, well, we could do a whole activity and like just have fun. And I think that's the big thing for me is I want therapy to be seen as fun sometimes. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be this, like, super stressful, overwhelming unpacking. It can be, but it can also be, like, your one solace in the week and, like,
Yeah.
fun in the week. I also think adults forget to play, so it's your opportunity to play and engage in play, which is so important. You're letting your inner child shine when you do that.
Rhys, how did you get into therapy? Not as a patient.
What's wrong? Yeah, that was honestly one of my questions because I just always remember it, like, being something like Reese being like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to school for psychology," but I don't actually either know, like, where it stemmed from. Maybe it was our fucked up family, I'm not really sure, but aren't we all? Uh,
It's interesting because I mean, you might remember it differently, Ash, but for me, I did not know what the fuck I was going to college for until senior year, and it was, like, crunch time, and I had to go to college, like, I just knew I had to, and I knew I wanted to, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an interior designer, definitely creativity has always been something that
You
I
all are
really.
very creative. Is it your mom? Like,
Yeah,
like, you
yeah.
all are so creative.
parents, my grandparents are very creative. Apparently my dad used to draw a lot and my dad writes poetry. Like, so there
It's
is
you got the
that.
Yeah.
gene.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
makes sense because Reese definite like, if you think I'm creative, like, Reese
Well,
and my
Reese,
mom
I
are
saw the Gilmore Girls Bachelorette. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, Alexis is very impressed by this. This is like and listen, Reese, that was great, but, like, that's like a minute portion of Reese's portfolio. Like, it really runs the
really
gamut,
right.
but yeah.
Yeah, although recently been like thinking about them planning as an opportunity later on. Yeah, so, like, all the creatives were always, like, things that interest me, and then on top of that, I think yes, we grew up in a very expressive family where we did talk a lot and talk a lot about, like, our feelings and pretty open about everything. So I always had an interest for psychology. I felt like I always understood people in a way that maybe my peers didn't at the time. And
Yeah.
my friends, I think, would come to me for advice, or I was the one that everyone would talk to, and then it wasn't until senior year, or maybe it was junior year, that I took my first psychology class, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then it was crunch time, and I had to make decisions, and I was like, "Psychology, but, like, ew, like, that feels so clinical, and, like, I'm not sure." And so my amazing counselor took was like, "Here, take this career test or whatever, and, like, try
yeah.
to figure it out." It was super in depth, but it came up as expressive art therapy, and I was like, "That exists?"
It's like two sides of you. It's like if you're like the gal that everybody goes to for advice, like there's a reason, you know?
Yeah.
But then if you've also got this, big creative side, it like marries the two of them together.
Right, yeah, so it felt like it was made for me, and I was like, "I gotta explore this further," and then it's so niche that there's literally, like, 3 universities, which kind of narrowed it down for me. Um, and I ended up going to Lesley in Cambridge, because they're, like, the best and most known for expressive arts and art therapy. Like, all my professors were also the ones that were writing the books that we had to read for class, which was
I
super
love
cool.
that.
Yes, and, like, they were all super hippy dippy, like, from the '60s and '70s, like, getting started with expressive art therapy when everyone was like, "What the fuck is that?" So, yeah, I didn't really fully know it until senior year when I had to make crunch time decisions, and it all just, like, fell into my lap, and, yeah, I truly feel like this career was made for me.
I didn't know about the, like, test thing, like, the eval thing. That's
Yeah.
very cool. Mine came back as inconclusive.
I don't even think I took one.
You're probably better off. Mine didn't no answer. I looked around, I'm like,
Wait,
"So now what?" I had already decided what I wanted to go to school for, but I was like, "Damn."
I'm upset I never took one. I'm what am I in the wrong career?
I can send you all the lectures, I send them to my clients all the
Wait,
time.
send me
Yeah,
one.
it's super in depth, I'll send you.
Can I can
Yeah.
I get one too? I wanna run it back.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Ashley's
guess
like,
what? I'm still in the
It
same
goes
spot. I have no fucking idea what I wanna be.
it goes super, super in depth and gives you, like, so many options, so
If it comes back as podcast host, I die.
it could. You're like, is that even an option? It might be in today's day and age.
Well, it's happening.
When you took it, we didn't have that option.
That's very cool, and yeah, I mean, I was there when Reese was touring Leslie and, um, kind of being like, "Damn, this place is cool," and, like,
Mhm.
yeah, the people we met were awesome, and it seemed from the jump like such a good fit for you. I kinda wanna get into how like, your life as a therapist. Obviously, like, I know there are struggles, but how do you feel like you do manage or balance all that, like, energy that you're putting into your client, all that empathy that you're putting into multiple clients a day, like, while also maintaining, like, your own work-life balance. Given all the tools you have in your toolbox to use with clients, like, what do you use for yourself?
I think the most important thing is boundaries and knowing when the end of the day comes, like put down the computer, shut off, basically shut off from that world. When I leave my office, I typically come home, make my dinner, rot on the couch and watch like TV. And maybe that's not the best thing, but it does like help for me to
Yeah.
feel restored. I would also say I engage in my own like personal art therapy process of just like journaling. I actually 2026, I'm trying to like stay consistent with like bullet journal and like art journal. I find that to be super helpful. I also like am a firm believer in I like to schedule. I'm also a bit of a type A planner person. So like scheduling out things to look forward to, things to do on the weekends, especially. I pretty much spend every weekend with like friends and people that make me feel good. And that's super, super important. And like talking to my friends and family on the phone helps me to remember like I'm a person too. And I have a life and I got stuff going on too. Cause it gets to be a lot, and I think something they don't talk about is how do you help people when, like, you yourself are struggling with something in your life, but you gotta roll up to work and, like, be
Yeah.
on, and then what's also really crazy, the synchronicities, these clients will come and they'll have, like, gone through something that's, like, so similar to, like, what I'm going through right now, so it's almost like I'm doing therapy on myself, like, when I'm talking to them, I'm talking to myself, which is kinda
That's so
cool.
interesting, but it makes sense. It's like you guys are processing together, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's almost like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it's like not only are you, as being a therapist, you're able to help, other people and help them cope and kind of get through
Yeah.
things, but it's almost kind of like that mirror onto yourself that like you might not always get. And it's like,
Right.
"Oh, wait, I'm, like, real time, like, processing," or like, "Hey, I don't think to do that in my own life, but I'm
Mhm.
telling this person and thinking about what they've been through," and you're like, "Hey, wait, that maybe I should try that."
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's also cool though, because there's with, like, the whole clinical psychology, and I think how people view therapists, they view them as, like, blank slates, or at least they did, I think, and there's this idea that we don't talk about ourselves, and obviously I don't, like, share my deepest, darkest things, but once in a while, I actually find that process to be helpful, like, being able
Yeah.
to relate when they feel, "Oh my god, like, my therapist went through this, I'm not alone, thank God." And also then they feel like, "Okay, you're not just, like, reading me textbook things to,
Yeah.
like, help me. You genuinely have gone through this yourself, and these were the things you did to get through it. Okay."
It's so funny that you said that because I've had a lot of different therapists just, like, over the course of my life,
Mhm.
and I always ask them, like, I recently got a new therapist in the last, like, 4 months. And I like when I have that first call, I like screen them and I'm like, have you been, I basically am like, do you have trauma? Have you been through anything that I'm like coming here and talking to you about?
Wow.
Because personally, for me, who I am as a person, I don't want to sit across from somebody who is just like kind of going through like the textbook things. Like, I want to talk to somebody who's been through it. And actually, fun fact, my former therapist, who I actually got when I was in the outpatient program, and she was my therapist for 4 years after that.
Mhm.
She had lost her dad as a kid. So then when my mom died and I was in therapy with her, it completely, like, changed our dynamic, where
Wow.
she opened up to me and she said, "Hey, I've never talked to you about this, but, like, I lost my dad as a kid." And I say this all day long. I think I was able to move along in my grief journey the way that I was because my therapist had lost a parent, and like she wasn't telling me, like, she wasn't sugarcoating it. She wasn't just like giving me coping mechanisms. Like, she was like, "No, like, I've gone through it. I'm going through it, and like, here are things that like actually help. If you're irrationally angry, it's okay." It
Yeah.
like it just it was funny because, and that's just, I mean, I guess I don't like to say luck, but it was like I had no idea that her dad died until
Yeah.
she'd been my therapist for like 3 years at that point by the time my mom died. And I was like, "Oh my god." And it like completely opened up like a whole like new door of healing, I guess I could say.
Yeah, what a blessing to
Yeah.
not only have had someone who you already had a relationship with for 3 years, and when this happened in your life, you already sort of had this tool in play,
Yeah.
Not that that makes it any better, but wow, it's like you were already taking care of yourself on such a level. And then on top of that, to have this connection point that you only
Yeah.
found out about in
Right.
that moment is like, wow, like, yeah, it's like luck, but like, yeah, what a blessing. I never thought about asking a therapist, like, "Hey, like, what do you got going on?" Like, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's what Reese was talking about, and Reese knows this, my first ever therapist, I've technically only had 3. I've been very lucky to be able to have them for many years at a time. The first one I ever had, my first experience, was at 26 years old, and she was incredible. I mean, this woman, like, changed my brain chemistry for the better. Like,
Mhm.
what an angel. But she was very clear from the beginning that, like, we are not friends. And I was like, great, I have those. I ain't looking for that. She
Yeah.
was like, what, I'm here to, support you and help you. Don't share things about my life because I don't want it to have any impact on the way that you speak to me. There's no reason to create bias, unconscious bias here, like knowing more than what you see right in front of you. And I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, okay, like I respect that. I know now that, like, for some people, that might be too hard of a line, and I actually was very uncomfortable when I went to my next therapist, and she was very much like what Reese is saying, like, more, open about, like, "Oh, when that happened to me, blah, blah, blah." She wasn't making it about her, but she was simply, like, putting in details, and I got uncomfortable because I was like, "Oh, you're not supposed to tell me. You're not supposed to tell me anything
Yeah.
about you. Now I know you have a husband and children and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm much more mellow about that now, but but I never thought to, like, ask that at the beginning. So I'm gonna take that tidbit away.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, totally, and, like, I'm somebody like, I have been in therapy where it has been like, Reese, you used that term, like, clinical, and
Mhm.
that style doesn't work for me. Like, I need more of, like, that peer, that, like, the example I use, and, like, you can tell me if this is the wrong way to put it, Reese, but it's almost like I wanna feel like I'm sitting down and, like, talking to a friend, but it's a friend that, like, has the skills, has coping mechanisms, like, has the education, but, like, I say this all the time, I had therapists that I used to lie to, and it wasn't until my former therapist that I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, no, if I was going out and, like, partying too much, drinking too much, maybe doing, like, some extracurriculars that I shouldn't have been doing," I didn't feel judged, so I would tell her those things, and then we
Mhm.
could have, like, an even more open and
Right.
honest dialogue.
The trust and rapport is like half the process. And for me, I agree. I don't really get if I were to do a clinical, I don't have a clinical therapist, but if I were to, I think that that would be really hard for me to like want to share those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's this level of, I don't, obviously we are taught not to judge or to like really, you know, we all judge, we're humans, but like rein it in. But, like, I think there's that element of, like, judgment sometimes when it comes to the clinical, really clinical therapist. I don't know if there's many of those left, if I'm being real, but I think I take on a really humanistic approach and, like, it's about the person, and I also, in a way, like, match their energy. Like, if they're coming in ready to work, I'm ready to work. But if they're trying to talk about reality TV and all right, let's do it. But I may relate it back to like, so how does this have to do with like what we're going through?
Right.
Are we trying to distract ourselves? And I'm straight up. I use curse words. I am myself with my clients, with everybody. Obviously, I have to watch myself with my little ones. I have like as young as 6 years old. So I'm not that way with them.
Right.
But authentically come as I am, which is great though, because I
Yeah.
do think it allows them to do the same. Then they can come
Yes.
authentically and not
That's
feel
how
like they
I
have
feel.
One of my biggest fears is starting with a new therapist. Like all of us, I'm a very layered person. There's a lot of chapters to my story. There's a lot of pre-reading one needs to do to understand where I am now and how I got here and like baseline who we are. So the idea of having to like step into a new person's office and be like, "All right, I was born July my mother's named is this. They're divorced. And then I got this other guy." Like, there's just so much to fucking go through. Like, I'm not judging myself. I'm just saying, like, there's just a lot to see through. And it's exhausting the idea of having to bring someone up to speed on that. I guess
Can I give you an advice? Because I just did this. I think this will help you. So this is what I do. When I just interviewed like a few new therapists in the last like 4 months, and I straight up switch your brain, become like the marketing comms person you are. I literally sit down and I said, I'm gonna give you like 10 minutes of like a PowerPoint deck of like my trauma and like X, Y, and Z. Like I actually like I almost do like a pitch, except for it's not
wow.
like a pitch. Like that's what I do in my brain. Like I'm just like, okay, here are the highlights. Like it's like a job interview. In that first session, it's not, oh, you're going to take me on as a client. I'm going to be your patient. Like you can say no. You can be like, no, this is not going to work for me. I like to think of it as like a job interview or dating where it's not one way. Like I'm not sitting down being like, take me as a patient, like pick me, pick me. I'm like, here's my fucking baggage, my very expensive, beautiful Louis Vuitton baggage. And like, what
Yeah.
can you do?
And it's so funny you said the dating part because I literally tell my clients this is like dating, and you might not think I'm your match, and that is okay. It's about finding your match, and we're both kind of interviewing each other. And I will be fully honest with you if I don't think I can work with you.
It's never about like will they want me? Will they take me? Can sometimes it's about can they handle me? Right? And
Yeah,
what I got going on. Like there are very specific, we've talked about it before. I need to make sure there's someone who has background with disordered eating and body image. I need to make sure that someone has background and is comfortable with childhood trauma. Like those are things that are going to come up for me. So that I've always, been able to sort of like check the box on. But what I've not done, which I'm taking away from this conversation, is getting into it and saying, these are my pinpoints that are gonna come up a lot. Be specific in that conversation and then sort of see how they react and maybe push them to say like, "All right, like give me your resume." Obviously it's a delicate subject. They're not giving me examples of past clients due to, HIPAA violations and shit.
Well, they can as long as they don't start name dropping.
Right, but they can give you that sort of like general sense of
Yeah.
like this is a scenario, or they could even that maybe that's their opportunity even to say like, oh, actually, this is something I've dealt with as well. And it's that opportunity to open it up. So maybe it's about just like being more specific. And when you said PowerPoint, like I don't know if you mean that literally, but I like it all the same.
Yeah. Like in my brain, I literally have like,
The worst case scenario is they aren't sort of giving you what you need to hear and you walk away and you move on to the next. Yeah. All right. I just want to get that out there because I feel like I hear that a lot also from other people. Yeah, I got to go through everything. I have also heard from people that we don't have to go through everything at the top if you don't want to. Like you can also just talk about what's here and now and they'll ask questions and you'll get there eventually. What's the root? But you don't need to get into it off just like on a first date, you're not gonna, trauma dump on someone right away. You can, you don't have to. You probably shouldn't. But in Lee therapy, you can.
Reese, I have another question for you, but it's less about your background and kind of more of advice that you would give to somebody. So I'm going to ask you two questions. The first one is obviously at the top of this episode we kind of talked about the volatility of the world right now. Is there any advice that you could give to somebody who is struggling with the state of the world right now? And obviously, Ashley and I, we've talked about we're pro therapist and therapy. But if you're not at that place right now, what is something that you can kind of do on your own at home?
yeah. So I would say know your resources. I think like you saying in the beginning, like call your senators. That is one way to not only help yourself possibly, but also help the bigger problem here. I would say there's also a bunch of resources, and I'm forgetting the name of the websites and like Instagram pages, but there are pages for your cities, for your towns that tell you when ice may be around. So that can be a helpful tool. But also, I think bottom line, like having a community and having support, people that are like minded that you can talk to and vent to and freak out about this with can feel really nice. And yeah, I think taking a page out of my expressive arts therapy book, find something that's your therapy that you can do when shit is getting rough. It might be calling a friend, but it might be doing art. It might be writing a poem. It might be listening to a playlist of songs that you feel like speak to you right now. cooking, all those things. So like, yeah, finding your therapy in your day-to-day life and making time for that. Checking in with yourself, doing some emotional like check in. How am I feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? Like keep it super easy, 10 being I'm feeling amazing, fantastic, everything's great in my life, and 1 is shit is hitting the fan and I'm not okay. And I feel like if you're anything lower than a 5 or 6, you probably should be doing some of your therapy in that way.
I love that.
But
And my second question is actually for you. Well, I mean, I guess they're all for you, but I mean about you.
okay.
How do you manage, you know, being a therapist and kind of like carrying the emotional load of other people?
Yeah. It's really tough. I say between sessions, I usually try to give myself 5 to 7 minutes between sessions. To like I don't even wanna go on my phone, actually. I try not to go on Instagram or anything, especially right now.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I kind of just, like, sit there and I literally visualize, like, whatever they just put as, like, a package, and then I take that package and I, like, put it on the shelf that has their name on it because I'm gonna reopen that package when I'm with them again, but for now, that's where it stays. So I think the visualization really helps me. Having my own remembrance of who I am at the end of the day and going home and watching my reality TV or calling my friends and family and being my silly self helps a lot, and then having, like, something to look forward to really helps me. But sometimes there's been times where I've called my friends or my family and I'm like, I need to just, like, unload, like, how I'm feeling right now so that I can, like, get back to center. I'm obviously not sharing, like, any personal information about
You're like, no
people.
HIPAA violations here.
And I do have a supervisor as well that I see twice a week, so, like, that's also a great time to just, like, unload and also get feedback on, like, what I can do for myself or what I can do for them.
Yeah, there's definitely been times where, you know, Rhys has called me and just been like, "It was a rough one today," you know? And I'm
Yeah.
triggered I'm triggered about something in my life, and this is the thing I'm triggered about in my life without sharing what that other person has shared, you know, and
Yeah.
it's also tough, you know, I Reese is not the only person in my life that is in this field, and, you know, sometimes I look at those people and I think like, wow, like you're really, like, giving yourself so much of yourself every day, like, yeah, what I do, you know, I sit down at a computer and it can be stressful and there's politics and there's bullshit, but, like, it's not I'm not, you know, saving lives, I'm not, you know, in
Yeah.
charge or helping support someone through a really difficult time emotionally, like, it's all sort of, like, surface level, like, what you do is so drilled down, and, I imagine that that's a lot. So, like, as an outsider looking in, I think, like, wow, like, it's a lot that that person is taking on. And I think it's
Yeah.
also like, yeah, hey, I'm a big sister, but, you know, I think if you were a different kind of family member, I'd feel the same way. Like, I'm like, okay, like, are you good? Like, you're taking on a lot. But I think you even sharing with me and with others in our family, like, okay, well, this is how I cope. And like, sometimes I am going to call you and like, I'm going to be triggered by something, but also I have these compartmentalization tools that I have to use for my
Yeah.
survival, to make sure that the next client is getting the best out of me, like, it's really helped us to understand your process as your
Yeah.
family, and
And I'm, like, scary good at compartmentalizing sometimes, so it's not
Well, you
always
have
great.
to be.
Yeah, especially, like, with the clients that are coming to me with things that, like, "Oh my god, that's hitting home." Like, I feel that, I've been through that in some capacity, I'm going through that right now. I think those are, like, the harder days, but also something I remind myself is, yes, this is my job and this is my work, but, like, they're doing harder work than me sometimes, like, this is their work. I'm here, I'm the mirror, I'm the soundboard, I'm the helpful support, but, like, I have to remind myself sometimes that, like, this is their work, not mine, and therefore I need to leave it at the end of the session and pick it up next time because I can't be, like, doing the extra I mean, of course, I'm sending resources or I'm emailing them maybe, but, like, I gotta cut it at a certain point.
I think that's a really nice move into what's gonna be my final question. We sort of started this episode by talking about the difference in generations, and granted, that's
Mhm.
just, like, my perspective, but is there anything you wish, like, the older generations, you know, Gen X and beyond, or even millennials, like, could understand about therapy and its importance? Like, if is there, like, a message that you wish, like, some of those older generations knew, or maybe you have different thoughts for different groups?
I think that therapy has evolved even since they were my age and younger. I think I would say, like, there might be a niche that you're not really aware of, like expressive art therapy that exists that could be your way in. I wanna tell them that it doesn't have to be groundbreaking, earth-shattering, "Who am I?" identity crisis moments, like, it doesn't have to be it's not someone judging you. It's really just an opportunity for you to, like, maybe auditorily process your feelings, your life. I think there's a lot of generational trauma that comes up, especially with every generation, but I think, like, it can be an opportunity to change the narrative and allow yourself to not maybe make the same mistakes or, experiences happen that happened in your life that maybe cause you to feel not great emotions or feelings. I don't know. There's a lot of things I can say about the older generation, but I will say that like a lot of them have come around. I think because a lot of their kids are in therapy and are open to it, which is cool. And I have a few older clinician clients myself. So it's moving in a good direction, but yeah, I would say, like, there might be something out there for you, and therapy isn't as scary as I think it's been made to be.
For those who maybe have never entered and are thinking about it and are therapy curious, maybe that advice can help put them over the edge. Let's get to some fun topics. I think it's time for our next segment. It's a little silly, it's a little slutty, it's just like us. It's the Millennial Mouthfuls. This is where we talk about what we love, what we hate, what we're watching, where we're going, what we've been doing, what's bugging us, what are we loving. And I think a very millennial topic, Rhys told me that she went to a Pauly D's DJ show. Oh, so what am I, geriatric? I'm like, a DJ show last night. She saw a disc jockey. I can't get the words out. You know what I mean? Pauly Del Vecchio, Jersey Shore, an icon in the
DJ
millennial
Pauly D.
zeitgeist. He was a oh, sweet Jesus. If you're on YouTube, Reese just pulled out an accessory to support the chat. But you went to DJ Pauly D last night, which I absolutely have to know, like, why, how. Obviously, I know that he's a DJ. I know that he tours, but he's like never been around when I've in any of the cities I've lived in. Like, how'd you get there, and like, how was it?
He was
Yeah,
at what,
um,
Memoir?
memoir, yes, at Encore. It was really great. Honestly, it's been on my bucket list to, like, have some sort of run-in with any Jersey Shore member, but I love Pauly D and I love Snooki, like, those are my top 2 probably, so, like, needed to see them. I'm a club kid. I love DJs, and I follow a DJ who was opening for him, and he was like, he has a VIP list. I'm usually on it. I usually can, like, get in for
Reese, you
free.
She's so
go, girl.
fancy.
And so he, like, posted that he was opening for Pauly D, and I was like, "Holy shit." So I did what I could. I was able to get me and a friend in for free to DJ Pauly D at Memoir, and
Pause there, by the way. You've never,
Mhm.
if there's nothing else that makes Reese and I different, it's the frugality. Okay. I will throw money at the problem. Reese will find a way to make it cheap or free. She will figure out a way to get into the place without a cover, to get some samples that are regular size and not just sample size for free. She will figure out how to get the discount. She will figure out how to make a room that cost $100 look like $10,000. Like, the frugality is so fierce in this
Look at her.
child. You're not a
I'm
child, but you are to
howling.
me. Like, it really is. So I'm not surprised to hear that whatsoever.
Yep. Got there, and the guy was the person that was letting us in was like, "Where's your tickets?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm on the list." And he was like, "Yeah, but, like, they're not letting people without tickets in because they, like, have to obviously let the people that paid in, and so we're not." And I was like, "Oh, really? But I'm on the list? And, like, this is my dream." And I was wearing these, cheetah dress, like, full outfit.
You were ready. You were Snickers.
You don't understand. I've been looking forward to this all week, sir. Like, I need to get in there. Like, is there anything you can do? And he was like, "You guys are hot. Come on." And lets me and my
Hey.
friend I'm like, "Woo!" Yes, it was awesome. He came out to Get Crazy, Get Wild, and it was great. He played a lot of, like, Boston songs,
Oh,
like
What,
Ship It
like
Up
Sweet
to
cool.
Caroline?
Boston, Sweet Caroline.
Sammy
Um,
Adams.
he played he played K-pop Demon Hunters, which was interesting.
Oh,
But you know what?
yeah.
Yeah, I like that for him because he's, like, kinda quirky and silly, so it was
Well,
funny.
he's gotta
But
stay
but
hip
I
with the
still
youngins.
exactly, exactly. I will say, also shout out to DJ LaFlame in Boston, shout out. Follow him, he's great. But anyway,
She's like, "The whole reason I went to see DJ Paula D was because of" what's his name? DJ LaFlame?
DJ LaFlame, yeah.
Is he French?
I have no idea. He didn't play enough 2010s, 2000s music. Like, I wanted to hear that, like, old school David Guetta, I don't know, something.
The things in the cultural zeitgeist around the millennial just age demo, do you feel like you relate to it a little harder because your older sister is a millennial versus, like, what kids your age are into?
Yes, yes, I totally do, and a perfect example of that was, like, all my friends besides one, the one that I went with, have never watched Jersey Shore or, like, didn't
That's
even know
insane.
Criminal.
like,
Criminal.
what? Criminal. Yeah, no, I do think and I was telling Ashley the other day, I do feel like I'm on the cusp. Like, I realize I'm Gen Z, but, like, I feel like I'm on the cusp, and I sort of am a millennial also
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
opposed
Yeah,
to
you're right at the
Ashley,
edge.
it's also I don't know, like, again, family very open, there was no, like, boundaries or, like, things I what yes, there was things I wasn't allowed to
Only
do,
few.
but,
Ashley, she's like,
sure.
"There were no boundaries."
Well, actually, come to think of it, there were boundaries for me, there were far less for you. So, you know what?
For example, like, their mom wouldn't get mad if I'm watching Tila Tequila with Ashley at 9 years
Yeah.
old, like, that was fine.
Oh my god, A Shot at Love with Tila Tequila. All 3 of
My
us
god,
sat down
remember
and
that
watched that.
show?
That was normal.
I credit myself for passing along, the first iPod Shuffle playlist to my sister. Like,
Mhm.
somehow, like, all of the illegally downloaded LimeWire tracks and, like, weird things, I somehow got onto that iPod Shuffle, ended up on Rhys's, like, forever playlist. So I think from a music perspective, I'd like to take a little bit of credit
Yeah,
for the
music
influence.
and pop culture, I feel like I'm in it with y'all for the most part.
I love that. I love it.
What I was gonna say about the song thing is this wasn't one of the topics I was gonna talk about today, but you made me think of it, Reese. So Hilary Duff did a show in London this past week.
Yes.
Again, like I think we've talked about her coming out with new music before. Some other songs have trickled in. She's definitely like coming out with something like bigger, and I think there's going to be like a tour happening. And like, I swear to God, if people get in the way of my tickets, I'm going to lose my mind.
Wait, we
But I'm
need to
waiting.
go. We should go.
We 100% when things are announced need to go. But she was first of all, whoever her PR team, they have been they've been keeping us as the Gen Zs would say fed all week long because they had her do lip syncs of her old songs, they had her do new songs like all like
Yep.
on her TikTok and it's truly been keeping those of us who were not in London at the show like super fed on content. One of the things was like a behind the scenes her being interviewed and she talks about how like I'm excited to share my new music, but like I want to give the people what they want and that's the classics and like my old
Let the
songs. And
rain
I
fall
am
down.
not I am going to come clean and I am not going to like take that away from them. I am going to give them all of that. So like I think there's a lot of artists who get really like sick and tired of singing the old same songs all the time or in Pauly D's case like playing the same songs to sort of like remind you the generation that he popped off in. But like you gotta give the people what they want. That's why they wanna
Yes.
come see you. We will get on board. We will learn your new songs. We will if you're a true fan, like, you will stay loyal, but you gotta give us the old good stuff. And I think that's
Yeah.
so important, and I'm just so glad she said it. She's like, "I will not be depriving people of the why nots and the come cleans. You will have it." And I love that. Speaking of, like, social media, I caught this week Alex Earl put up a TikTok. I'm sorry. Netflix put up a TikTok of Alex Earl teasing a new reality show coming out featuring her and her family. It's coming and it's going to be on Netflix. There was no trailer. It was her like in front of like the Netflix like studio sign Like,
Yeah.
basically, I'm gonna mess up what she said, but basically being like, "A show about my family? Like, okay, fine, let's try it." Or it was like she was on the phone with her dad, and she was like, "Dad, it'll be fine." And it was like, click, and you're like, "Something's coming." No date, no, like, promises, no trailer of the actual show. It was just a teaser, and so I am not afraid to say, like, I am an Alex Earl stan. I find her so compelling. I love, like, the platform she's built on, like, getting ready with me's in her college, like, house that she shared with 12 other girls to
I
now,
mean,
like,
what happened on that boat in St. Bart's with Tom Brady? Give the people what they want.
the evolution that has happened. Like, first of all, pop off, sis. You found a niche. It worked for you. People
She's
love to
like
see
me
it.
and the NFL players. Yes.
You're
Good for her,
entertaining. You
honestly.
know, she had the breakup with Braxton. I feel terrible for her, but then she's popping off in St. Bart's, rubbing Tom Brady's back. And now and not to mention the incredible performances she gave on Dancing with the Stars. I think she did an incredible job. And I do think she was robbed and she should have been in contention for the winning position. And now she's out here potentially coming out with a reality show. Like, I am just so excited for her and excited to see it. I think I don't fully know the tea with her family. I know her father, they had an affair, and the woman that he's married to
Yeah.
now was that woman, and, like, I don't know who he is and why it was such a scandal back then, but I'm sure it's going to come up in the show, and I'm ready. I'm assuming
Yes.
neither of you saw this video?
I did not. I did not see it. However, I do think that she's very entertaining, and I do also love that. Like, isn't her family from New Jersey and live like on a farm? Like, I'm just kind of like
Yes.
very fascinated. Well, when she initially, before she was on, I know she's no longer on Alex Cooper's Unwell Network, but before she
Yeah.
launched her podcast, she was on Call Her Daddy with Alex Cooper, and they went home and did
That's
kind of like
right.
the home tour, and I remember watching that being like, "This girl's family is entertaining and hysterical." So, like, I do have to say, I feel like America needs another, like, family reality TV show other than the Kardashians. I love the Kardashians. I'm a Kardashian stan, but I feel like, I kinda sometimes I love the family drama that's centered around, one show. Like, not like how on the Jersey Housewives, we kinda get, like, the family dynamic. I'm talking, like, the reality show is centered around the family. So, like, I'm here for this.
And I'm interested to see coming from a Netflix POV, right? We've had family reality shows on E, on Hulu, on Bravo. I could be mistaken, but there's not at least one that's stuck, a family-focused reality TV show, and Netflix is going hard on their reality TV game. They made a huge, like, pivot into, like, reality dating shows with, like, Love Is
Yeah.
Blind and,
The Circle.
um, The Circle and, what's the other one that's, like, I mean, they've had, the Ultimatum.
But yeah, The Ultimatum. I'm not a reality dating show girly.
Well, they've cracked in and
Yeah.
they're here to stay, and now I love that they're, like, dabbling into family, so I'm excited to Are you like a? Because you're Gen Z, Reese, obviously you're elder Gen Z, but, like, is Alex Earl as big as, like, they say she is in the Gen Z
No,
community?
I'm gonna be so real, I had to look up who the fuck you were talking about because I felt you were talking about Alex.
Wow!
I had no idea. I looked her up and I was like, "I don't know this bitch from a hole in the wall. So sorry."
I feel like she's positioned to millennials as, like, this Gen Z superstar, but I feel like it's the millennials that are watching her.
It, like, popped up on my TikToks, but, like, no idea.
That's wild.
This is the thing. Reese, tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like you guys, like you and my sister, like you guys that are kind of at that middle age where you're not middle age. I mean like literal, you're at that middle age between like yeah, you're in that awkward phase where you're not like a lot of the millennial stuff. You are Gen Z, but you're not like stereotypical Gen Z. Unbothered. Like unbothered. Like my sister could care less about what like the masses care about. Like she very much is like has her communities and her niche that she focuses on, but how like you and I, Ashley, are like, up in the pop culture, the celebrity drama, like that's our thing.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't care.
Yeah. Well, we also came of age during the popping off of celebrity gossip and pop culture
True.
news.
Yeah.
Like,
Just like
E!
our
News,
blood.
became a thing. Perez Hilton, who I think is a wretched, wretched human being. I don't care how much he's evolved and changed. I think you're a bad
Yeah.
person, but I will give credit where credit is due. The like
TMZ.
yeah, like that type of like celebrity gossip, pop culture, caring about what actors, actresses, models, and socialites are doing outside of their professions, like that I give a lot of credit to the TMZs, the Perez Hiltons of the world that kind of got into that game. And that's what we were watching after school. That's what we were reading about on Tumblr and who the fuck else knows. Like when the internet was really popping off, like it all kind of culminated into like who we are now, and it's why we love Bravo. It's why the Bravo
Yeah.
millennial relationship is so strong, and I really appreciate that, not to digress, but I feel like Bravo is growing with me. Like, I don't feel aside from this Vanderpump redo, which I can't stand, but I watch because I'm curious,
Yeah.
they're not trying to always bring in young people to do, like, young new shows. Like, I feel like The Real Housewives, yes, they've brought in some new ones.
But
Yes,
they
they've
already
brought
did
in
it. They just created spinoffs. You've got Summer House,
right.
Vanderpump. You've got like that's how they did it is they just created whole
Yes.
new shows versus listen, I will say this all day long and I took this from a friend. When you're watching Orange County and Beverly Hills, you want to see the wealth. Like, it's why when people were upset when Gina had her casita, because it was like, I'm watching that for the wealth. I don't watch Summer House for the wealth. I don't watch Vanderpump Rules for this wealth. I watch Vanderpump Rules OG because I like watching those people pop off and then be in the Sir dumpster in the back causing trouble.
That's
Yeah.
true. No, that's so true, but and we've gotten to grow with those people and those characters, so
Yeah.
then came The Valley, and then it's like, okay, now everyone's becoming wives and husbands and mothers, and we get to, like, grow with them, and
Yeah.
even Summer House, like, I there is a spinoff coming with just the girls, and I cannot be
Yeah.
more excited.
I'm so
The
excited.
Paige, the Amanda, the, Sierra, like,
Yeah.
100% there is a spinoff coming. I'm like, "Yay!" Like, we get to grow with them as they
Yeah.
evolve into these grown women. I'm so excited.
Okay, so the third topic we were supposed to talk about is the traders. So here's some homework for all of you. If you're not watching the traders, it's on Peacock. You need to. But Alan Cummings, who's the host, keeps saying that episode 7 is like going to be a good episode. So I want to wait to talk about the traders until episode 7 comes out, which episode 7 comes out next week for us.
Okay. Okay, I'm
So
excited.
let's wait. But for all of you people listening, you're getting some heads up. Actually, by the time this comes out, episode 7 may be out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, and if you're not watching, it's so good. I like to I've said this to a couple of people that, Traitors is in that, like it's season 4, right? It is in that
Yes.
sweet spot where, like, a show, like, season 3, season 4 is so good. Like, I hope it only gets
So
better,
good.
but we are at this climactic point in, like, a show's history, and it's a new cast every season. It's a competition show, but they're just doing it so, so well. It's so addicting, and this is the time to get in on it because 'cause I'm telling you, it's at the peak of its popularity right now. I want to close it out by thanking you, Rhys, for coming on the Millennial Matriarch.
Yes, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
Do
you
you
guys.
want to tell the people where to find you?
So you can follow me, reest.rod, and that is my Instagram, or Curated Curves Collective Instagram, if you
I didn't know
want
you
to check
had that.
them out.
I'm gonna follow you.
Small business, sustainable,
Yeah.
size inclusive, and it's a little bit artsy and fun. Yeah.
So follow Rhys there. Thank you for sticking with us. I know that this was a long one and possibly a heavy one, but we really appreciate your listening ears and your alignment with us. And we love you all for listening. Now, if you want more of Alexis and I's daily chaos, our hot takes, our semi responsible wisdom, and a lot more of this kind of content, please follow us on social. Alexis is at the underscore millennial underscore matriarch, and I, Ashley, am at Millennial Mind of Ash. We're both on TikTok and Instagram. We're serving questionable decisions over there, some comforting truths, and the occasional, wait, am I the drama moments? Spoiler. Yes, we are. For more episodes of the Millennial Matriarch, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Substack, and on YouTube. We kindly ask that you rate, review, and subscribe. It helps us so, 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 so much. Until next time, drink some water, trust your gut, call your senator, and remember, you're the matriarch of your own fucking castle, so you better act like it. Love you. Mean it. Bye.
Bye.